And now, like we're just going to start there. I don't know if you guys have pages in front of you, but site clearance is just what it's going to cost to clear the site of like trees and shrubs and all sorts of things that to make the site, make the contractor able to construct on that site. And that will start about 7 rand to 10 rand a square meter, depending on the scope of the site and the distance it is from like a dumping site that you can transport material to and all sorts. And then piping, we just look at some of the key areas that you guys. Just look at some of the key areas that you guys are going to focus on in your designs. One of those for piping, and then for a small pipe, it will be about 160 to 150, and the rate build up for that is excavations, the laying of the pipe, material of the pipe, the carting away of the material, and the backfilling and compaction of the pipe again. And then concrete, all your concrete works, 25 MPa is about 1,000 rand per cubic meter, and as the strength goes up, of course, the cost again goes up, and 30 MPa is about 1,100 rand per meter. And the price of roads, is priced in the different layers of the road, and reducing levels for the road is about 60 rand per cubic meter. The subbase is 280 rand per cubic meter, asphalt 200 rand per square meter, and a channel that you'd have to cut into the road 125 rand per meter. And paving is the same as above with reducing of levels and subbase, but you add for sand 150 rand per cubic meter, and for paving 240 rand per square meter. So these are all the costs that you have to think about when designing your roads and setting out your ideas, all sorts of things. And the price for underground parking, this obviously ranges, but we went for an average stated in the road report. The road report is just an allocation of costs, or breakdown of costs that you might expect in certain areas of the country. Like the road report divides areas into its provinces and towns, and the costs are incurred individually as per labor demands in transport demands, and all sorts of efficiency costs. And the price was about 4,000 to 4,500 per cubic meter. And traffic lights was a very difficult thing to price. We couldn't get information on that, but we will get back to you if need be. And stop signs about 500 rand, which includes the concrete base, and the excavation and the backfilling. And the stormwater drainage should use the pipes mentioned earlier with the same prices. Then I'll hand over to Ibrahim, who will be speaking more in depth about how you build up a rate as per the labor, material, and labor, material, and labor, material, and labor, material, labor, material, profit, man, profit, something like that.
Okay, try to explain the easiest one to you guys, which will be piping. What normally goes into piping is, you have a pipe, I don't know how you guys do it, someone, what's your road? And you have to dig a trench, obviously, and that's the pipes. Material comes out, material gets carted away in a small truck. This is better at drawing, so sorry guys. I guess that's a concrete pipe, I'm not too sure. And then we have backfilling, and then there's all backfill. So basically what you're doing is you're looking at what you require to build up that specific thing per meter or per cubic meter. So if you're looking at piping, what you'd say is you price per meter of piping, and that would include your excavations for the piping per meter and what size you have to work around with it. So you take the area, the height times the width, which will always be the same times the length. But if you're working for a rate build-up, you're only working with 1 meter length, and then you only take your height and your width. So it's got 750 by 750, You obviously have a price for that, which will include your labor. Material, there's no material required for excavations. After that, you place in some backfilling or something material, whatever it is. That you work out per volume. Would most likely be the same as your excavation or with this, because you have to deduct the volume of the pipe. Then you have your pipe itself, which will price for the laying of the labor, which will be required, and the pipe itself as material wise. Then after that it would be the bedding, going over, backfilling, and that's how you build up your price. You add your profit, desired profit, markup, and that's the price. Do that for all your items, you end up with the price, add a contingency sum, that's your budget. That's everything. How do you guys do it?
What is a contingency sum?
Forgot.
So designing like big stuff for this whole site. Now it's difficult to think about the whole project and to say, okay, all the pipe work will be 3 million rand for this project. It's hard to just come up with a number like that. So how we do it is to break it down as I have explained, and then apply that rate for the total amount of meters of that pipe. Same with roads. Then contingencies is something that you add on top of that for things that you are not entirely sure of. Like for instance, let's say you start digging and then you see a whole big rock, like a hard rock element there underneath the ground. Then you haven't really planned for that, but it will need some cost to get that away, to maybe blast it or something. So that will be included in contingencies. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I got one. You mentioned earlier that you're going to price for the extra item contingencies if you hit a hard rock or something like that, and that would be your contingency sum. But what about the item that you in your bill that is extra over for digging hard rock? What does that encompass?
Yeah. So usually there is an item like that. According to your SANS document, we do need to price for that, but you're never sure of the amount of hard rock that there will be, because it's under the ground, you can't see it. So we add the percentage of unsurety.
What is the sensitivity of these figures? So now we have to do a costing in this phase we're doing now. What do we at the end? What do we state as the sensitivity of these numbers? So if I use your unit of measure, for instance, the piping, what is the measure of certainty?
Okay, it all depends on what you are designing. Let's say your pipe is 500 millimeters diameter. It's going to be different to a pipe that is 5 meters in diameter. So you need to use these principles and build up your own rate. So it is different for the specific design.
Basically what he gave you was a ballpark figure, more or less what step stocks charges for that specific item.
You would, if you've worked somewhere or whatever, call up the people and ask them how much something is, because that is usually the best way of finding out the rate and to be able to be more accurate. Because the people, like in your company or whatever, will know how much 5 meters of pipes are. And the other thing to consider is that you don't just buy one meter pipe, you buy it in bulk, and therefore like you find out if you have like if the company or whatever will sell you 30 square meters of, let's say 30 square meters of sand, and then you can divide that into a rate, and depending on how much square meters you divide that by 30, and then you get the amount you will need. So you need to kind of work around the fact that everything is bought separately and it all comes together at the same time.
I think take into consideration like the sensitivity that on that type of item, encompasses like for a rate build-up for piping, the material would be like the most a costly item. Where if you're using concrete, you look at what type of concrete it is, if it's a strong, like a 35 MPa type of aggregate you use to make that concrete, that will be the most sensitive cost within that. And also the complexity with which you, like your pipe design, you must also factor that into the cost of that, because the complexity adds to it, like scaffolding and all. That's where the prelims and the plant factors come.
Like prelims. Can you explain to us what is prelims?
Prelims are the costs that the contractor has to incur to effect the contract that you or the client has like taken out with the contractor. So for instance, if the contractor has to go up 30 floors and he has to incur costs of, I don't know how much, whatever, to pay for scaffolding, then he includes that inside his prelims, and you must always take cognizance of the fact that you must include those specific costs that it takes to be more complex with your designs and use different things.
In that case, why don't you have an item for scaffolding, for example, or item for
Just to clear that, preliminaries are amounts that are not directly related to a specific building item. Like for instance, the site office. It's not specifically related to the concrete, but you need it in order to make the whole project happen. Now you do have certain items in preliminaries. It's all part of the bill of quantities. And you've got items like plant, like a high-rise crane, like scaffolding, all of those items in there.